Study Section 2. The Pythagoreans. Introduction. In this study, you will learn about the Pythagoreans who formed the first philosophic group that emerged after the three Milesian philosophers discussed in Section 1. However, unlike the Milesians who seem to detach themselves completely from mythological explanations, the Pythagoreans believed that philosophers should not disregard myths as sheer nonsense, that philosophy and myths should not be separated at all, but their contribution to the development of mathematics and astronomy gives them a place in the history of philosophy. Learning outcomes from Section 2. When you study this section, you should be able to state the difference between the Milesian and Pythagorean philosophical systems. State the two fields of inquiry that the Pythagoreans greatly contributed to. Describe the importance of numbers in Pythagorean philosophy. Describe the importance of music in Pythagorean philosophy. The Pythagoreans. About Pythagoras. Pythagoras was the founder of the Pythagorean school, and his philosophy is popularly known as Pythagoreanism. Pythagoras was a native of Samos, a commercial rival of Miletus, a Greek island in the Aegean. His date of birth is not recorded, but his active philosophical life is usually dated from 525 to 500 BC. It is said that Pythagoras left Samos because he wasn't happy about how Polycrates, the ruler of Samos at the time, was governing his people. After leaving Samos, Pythagoras visited Egypt, where he learned much of his wisdom. He again left Egypt and later settled down in Croton in southern Italy, where his reputation as the founder of a religious and scientific society became popular. The religious community founded by Pythagoras was open to both men and women. Many of the Pythagoras' followers believed that he was divine. For this reason, it is hard to separate his thought from those of his followers, since they tended to attribute all their ideas to their founder. It is generally thought that Pythagoras didn't produce any books concerning his religious and scientific teachings. Instead, he passed on his teachings orally and implored his followers to keep most of their teachings and practices secret. Pythagorean philosophy. Unlike the Milesians, the Pythagoreans believed that philosophy was more than scientific curiosity. They believed that mysticism is an important part of philosophy, and that is why they combined the Greek scientific spirit with religion's mysticism. Their religious community, therefore, served as a school of mathematics and a religious order. For the Pythagoreans, the visible world is false and elusive. They believed in the existence of gods and semi-gods. According to them, the goal of religion was purification, and the goal of purification was the salvation of one's soul. They believed that the soul was immortal, and that after death it migrates into another body, possibly an animal's body. In this way, the soul is condemned to a cycle of reincarnation from which it may escape by attaining a state of purity. In other words, the only way to achieve release from this wheel of birth and the prison of the body was to purify the soul. The Pythagoreans did this through various purification rites, which made them to observe a strict living without pleasures. For religious reasons, too, they observed many taboos and restrictions in their diets. Most of these taboos and rules are strange that one wonders the basis for them. It is said that Pythagoras taught his disciple well on the purifications of the soul. According to Pythagoras, the soul can achieve purity through an intellectual process of obtaining philosophical wisdom. In fact, Pythagoras is believed to be the first to call himself a philosopher, which literally means a lover of wisdom. He believed that the only way to live the right way of life is to harmonize ourselves with the universe, meaning that we should learn to understand the universe we live in. Pythagorean contribution to the development of mathematics and astronomy. The Pythagoreans achieved so much in the field of mathematics. The Pythagoreans believed that numbers and geometrical figures are divine. Their teachings showed that there was an order and unity in the cosmos, an ordered universe, and that it was mathematical in nature. For them, numbers lie at the base of reality, and this is why the saying, "all things are numbers," is attributed to them. To further stress their point that philosophy can't be separated from mysticism, the Pythagoreans mixed mathematics and myth to explain the evolution or gradual development of the world. In explaining the evolution of the worlds, the Pythagoreans maintained that the cosmos was once a perfect figure before it breathed and allowed chaos to enter it, and to break down its compact unity into an indefinite amount of pieces. Each of these pieces was a quantity of number that must be brought together in order to return the cosmos back to its original perfect form. The Pythagoreans, therefore, believed that the purpose of philosophy, mathematics, and religion was to overcome this confusion and to return the world to perfect unity once more. The greatest mathematical discovery credited to Pythagoreans or to his immediate disciple is the Pythagoras theorem, which says that the square of the hypotenuse of a right-angled triangle is equal to the sum of the squares on the other two sides, or that the sum of the squares adjoining the right angle in a right-angled triangle is equal to the square on the remaining side, the hypotenuse. In astronomy, the Pythagorean analysis of the movement of the sun, moon, and stars into circular motions drew the attention of many scientists until the 17th century, when Johannes Kepler, a German astronomer, formulated his first two laws of motion, which recognized the elliptical orbits of the planets about the sun. Music is also central to the Pythagorean philosophy. In fact, the Pythagoreans believed that the numerical ratios which underlie the musical scale can be used to explain the mathematical nature of the universe. They discovered that the differences between musical tones are functions of exact numerical ratios. For example, when a string of the musical instrument is doubled in length, the sound it makes is an octave lower. Two strings whose lengths are in a ratios of 4:3 make sounds 4 notes apart. Lengths in the ratio of 3:2 produce sounds a fifth apart. From this, the Pythagoreans argued that numbers are the basic of music, from which the theory of harmony is derived. The theory of harmony in music simply says that a pleasant sound results from disparate tones, which are kept in accord by their disposition in proper ratios. The Pythagoreans used this theory of harmony to say that if numbers are the basis of music, then they are the basis of everything else. The essentials of Pythagorean philosophy. Pythagorean philosophy is both a mix of natural philosophy and religion philosophy, owing to its thematic emphasis. It is important to note that the Pythagoreans discovered that there was an order in the universe as opposed to chaos. They strongly maintained that all things were numbers, and it is this number that was responsible for the order within the universe. Study section summary. In this section, you have learned that the Pythagoreans' early philosophical engagements, which led to the development of mathematics and astronomy, gives them a place in the history of philosophy. The Pythagoreans held that the goal of any religion should be towards achieving the purification of the human soul. One needs a mix of mythical and mathematical thinking to discover the principles evolution behind the universe. Pythagoras is probably the first person to call himself a philosopher, which literally means a lover of wisdom. Music is also an essential part of philosophical expression, such that it helps the Pythagoreans in explaining the reason for order within the universe. End of study section 2. Thanks for listening.